Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Sunrise on the Inside podcast, a space where we share inspiring interviews and stories from thoughtful leaders in business, health and wellness, entrepreneurship and sports. Here we talk about tools, habits, routines and tactics they use that help them feel calm, revived and rebalanced whenever they face challenges in life. I'm your host, Nico Estrella, a serial entrepreneur, former professional soccer player and co-founder of Waku. Hello, everyone. I am here with Maty Harrington. I'm very happy to have her as my guest in today's podcast. Maty is a nutritional therapy practitioner, and her passion is to help people become the healthiest version of themselves. Having overcome her own health battles, she truly believes life is meant to be enjoyed, and no one should be held back from feeling comfortable in their own body. Maty, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Maty, I wanted to start for people that doesn't know you and that's not following you on TikTok or Instagram. I love your TikTok, by the way. It's I learn a lot from your TikTok and
Oh,
how
thank
to eat
you.
healthy. It's amazing. But for people that haven't heard from you before, can you give us a little bit of your background and what do you do?
Yeah, definitely. So I am a full-time content creator and I am a nutritional therapist. So all my content is around living a healthy lifestyle. I like to make it very attainable. So I'm constantly just asking myself, is this something that someone that's working like a 9 to 5 job could do? Or is this something that my family and my friends would be able to implement in their life? So it's all about attainable wellness. I do create a lot of recipes, like very healthy, simple, easy to make recipes as well. And yeah, that's kind of what I do as an overview, but on my Instagram and my TikTok.
And it works, by the way. Like for people who's listening, you should definitely follow Maty. Can you tell us what's your handle on TikTok?
Yeah, my
It's
handle is at nutritiously easy.
nutritiously. Yeah, I'll make sure to put a link on the show notes. But yeah, if you're listening to this, make sure to follow her. I learned how to do yesterday. I think it was a video you uploaded on how to make salad dressing in a very easy and
Oh,
very tasty.
yes.
So it's amazing. Like very actually very easy to implement recommendations. So
That's the
people make
goal.
sure to follow Maty. And today I wanted to start our conversation learning a little bit more about your story and um, how you ended up developing this passion for helping people becoming the healthier versions of themselves. How do you end up into being a nutritional therapy practitioner?
Yeah, definitely. So my story is a little bit rocky. I had a lot of my own health complications. So when I was a kid before the age of 5, I actually had 3 open heart surgeries. So I was a very, very sick child. And then over the course of my like adolescent years, I just had a lot of health issues. Like I had psoriasis and alopecia. I had really severe migraines. Like I just dealt with a lot of health problems. And I was really lucky because my mom actually got super into health and wellness. And she's kind of where my inspiration like sparks from. And she would bring me to a bunch of like unconventional natural medicine routes. And she really did get me healthy. Like all the power to her. I didn't do any of that on my own, but I got very healthy. And then when I left to go off to college, it's kind of when my story started becoming a little bit more of my own. And I was my first time not living under my parents' roof, not eating what my parents were feeding me. And I started eating like fast food and binge drinking a lot. And I got really bad anxiety, and my mental health was kind of a disaster in college. And it just really, like, my confidence was horrible, my self-worth was bad. And this was like my whole college experience until like the first year out of college. It was still pretty bad. And it got to like the point one day where I was like, I can't live my life like this anymore. Like, I'm just in a really bad headspace. I'm having panic attacks once a week. Um, so I knew I had to make like a dramatic change. And I decided to, I was living in Chicago at the time, and I left Chicago. I was lucky enough to move back home with my parents, and I fully kind of redid my life. Like, I became obsessed with reading everything that I could get my hands on about self help and health, wellness, nutrition. I like started working at a gym. I started working with a nutritionist, and this whole passion just kind of became my own. And that's where it all kind of stems from.
That's amazing. That's a very inspiring story because I think, um, at least on talking about myself, I think like, um, if I were experiencing a lot of these type of things, not all the times you would dive that hard into reading everything to try to help yourself, and reading about all these books about nutrition and learning how to treat yourself. So that's a very inspiring story, and
Oh,
I
thank
wanted
you.
to expand a little bit in one thing that I read in your website, and you mentioned that, and you mentioned right now as well that you started to have panic attacks, right? And that you
Yeah,
saw major correlations between what you were eating and what you were drinking to the anxiety levels.
definitely.
And that was the things that were leading often to the panic attacks, right? So um, I wanted to ask if you could expand a little bit on that. Like, first, like, what were the foods that were making you feel like that, and how did you find out that it was the food that was causing it?
Yeah, so I want to start off by saying it wasn't entirely the food, but the food was making a huge difference. And a lot of it had to do with like blood sugar regulation. So whenever I was eating a lot of like sugar consumption, I noticed I was getting really jittery. Another thing would be coffee and alcohol, were like the two things for me that I had to really like look at my relationship with them. I still don't really drink coffee to this day because it still does kind of bring some anxiety back. I will do like decaf coffee, but I don't do caffeinated coffee. And then alcohol was a big thing that I had to look at my relationship with alcohol. And I still do drink. Like, I like a good cocktail here and there, but I am someone that doesn't value like drink every day, because again, that kind of gives me an anxious feeling. So yeah, I had to really look at those relationships that I had with different types of food in my life.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I think like caffeine can be a big one, right? I think like also I I decreased a lot the consumption of caffeine, especially during the when the pandemic started and the lockdown started. I think I was drinking like probably 3 or 4 cups a day of coffee,
Yeah.
and I realized that after the second cup, like at the third or fourth cup, I would start to feel very jittery and very anxious. And I think like before it didn't used to happen, so I would just used to drink a lot of coffee without like really having a huge impact. But once like a lot of anxiety around me was happening, and of course the business was going under a little bit, and like it was hard for a company during those times, so there was a lot of stress and the stress of the pandemic as well. I saw that the anxiety was kind of like maximized and amplified with coffee. So I decided
Yeah.
to, like I realized that, yeah, as you said, I think it's a great way to put it, right? To change the relationship that you have with those things that are making you feel bad. Because of course, for me, quitting coffee from one day to another was gonna be too hard, right? Like you are just
Yeah.
used to drinking coffee, and like whereas if you're drinking 4 cups every day, that can be very hard to, like, a very hard habit to stop. Um, but I noticed that I was like drinking coffee because of course I wanted to feel more energized and I wanted to feel more awake and more alert. So I started to find different ways in my day to day that could help me feel more awake and more alert, not necessarily drinking caffeine. So going for walks in the mornings, for example, started to be very good. Focusing on how to improve my sleep started to be very beneficial. So I started to make some changes in my day to day. So I didn't feel that much need of drinking so much coffee.
Yeah,
So I really like what you mentioned of like just learning how to change those relationships with those things that might be hurting you instead of helping, right?
definitely. Something that like helped me too with that is when I started taking like more of a look at what I even like about coffee. Because I still do like the taste of coffee and I like it, but the thing that I really loved about coffee was my morning ritual kind of with it. Like I liked the idea of waking up and having something warm and cozy and just taking a couple seconds and like enjoying my cup of coffee. So when I kind of played around with that and like started thinking like maybe I can do that with matcha, maybe I can do that with a tea or a smoothie, like have that experience with something else, that was like really beneficial to me personally, with cutting back as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. I think like one thing that I really like about coffee, because now I drink just 1 cup a day, maybe two some days. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that I really like about coffee, just like that routine. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I wanted to make a pause here, and I know that you have a bottle of Waku with you. For people
Yes.
that's listening, Waku, it's my company. I sent a couple bottles to Maddie so we can cheers during the podcast. So cheers, Maddie. I got the passion fruit flavor myself.
Cheers. I have the lemon. As I was saying to you before we went on that I love the lemon flavor. It's amazing. So cheers.
Cheers, yeah. Talking about coffee and drinks made me thirsty. So, Maddie, and then okay, you started your career as a nutritional therapy practitioner. You started to dive into that, and then when did you started to become more like a content creator? Because now I know that you have a big following on TikTok and on Instagram. Um, so how did that started, and like how long ago did you started that?
Yeah, definitely. So in March of, or like February of 2021, I decided to have my own practice as a nutritional therapist. So I was seeing clients on my own and I decided to use social media to gain clients. So it started with Instagram, and then at the time it was still kind of pandemic days, and my younger brother was home from college and I was at my parents' house and he was saying that I should try out TikTok. And I hadn't really thought about it. I felt like I was a little too old to be on TikTok. All I had seen was like dancing videos. I was kind of laughed honestly in the beginning. And then I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Like maybe I'll get a couple clients on TikTok. Who knows? So I started putting some videos on TikTok and I was just like amazed right away at the views that I was getting compared to like Instagram. So I went really hard with TikTok and I started getting a lot of clients from TikTok. That was how I got majority of my clients for months. Um, and
And,
then
and, and what
over
was the type of
time,
content that you were putting at the beginning? What were the first videos that you started to make at that time?
yeah. So if you look back, my content's actually changed a lot. So in the beginning, I was like really self conscious of being on social media in general. Like my first couple months, I am not in one video on it. Like it's literally just me filming something. And like I don't even talk in majority of the first ones that I did. A lot of them were grocery store videos and just like raising awareness for ingredients people should look out for, or really healthy brands that I thought were inspiring, or just like little tips and tricks too, like daily tips and tricks that could help with like your anxiety or like regulate your blood sugar, just kind of a little bit more like that. And my content's changed a lot over time, but that's how it kind of started out.
Got it, got it. And I know we were talking a little bit about this before our call, but I wanted to ask you, what was the inspiration behind your most popular TikTok series? That's what you would make this celebrity for lunch.
Yes. So that series, it's actually funny because I I've gotten to the point where I pretty much film anything I make just in case I want to post it. Like some stuff I don't post. But that day I was just making like a really simple wrap, and it was like the middle of winter, and I was like, I'm just gonna film this. Like I doubt I'll post it. It was like horrible lighting, nothing was great about it. And I just made this like really simple wrap, and it had like tuna and like pickles, kind of like random ingredients. And
Yeah.
later that day, I don't know if you know the content creator Tinks. She's very big with
No.
like the Gen Z generation, I feel like. I follow her, and later that day she was doing like a Q&A, and I was just listening, and she was talking about how her two favorite foods were tuna and pickles. So I was like, that's really interesting. I literally just put that on a wrap today. So I just like my little creator head kind of went off, and I was like, I'm gonna use that video, but like put it towards what I would make Tinks for lunch. And then from there, that series kind of just went off, and a lot of content creators and influencers and stuff would comment saying like, "Can you do me?" So yeah, that's how it kind of all stemmed. But it was not
That's
intentional.
so
I was
funny.
actually just eating that for lunch personally.
And whenever you create these videos, it's like just out of your creativity. So let's say tomorrow you are gonna make a video and like, okay, what would I make Leonardo DiCaprio for lunch? And then you just like create something that you would think they would like.
Yeah. So like, yeah, sometimes it happens like that, or like sometimes I'll see a random video of like celebrity or influencer talking about like a food that they like, and then I'll kind of go off of that. The inspiration can kind of come all over the place. I've started doing a lot of careers too, like what I'd make a nurse for lunch, doctor for lunch, because I think people like that and like people are relating to it. So yeah, the inspiration kind of comes all over. Occasionally, I will just make a lunch and then be like, wait, this would be a cool lunch for this person. But yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And have you ever made lunch for a celebrity and ate with that celebrity that lunch that you've made, or not yet?
No, I would love to do that though. I live in New I just moved to New York, so hopefully maybe in the near future that happens. We'll see.
That sounds so fun. And what has been one of your favorite ones, or one of your favorite videos or lunches that you've created?
Let's see. That's a good question. I For that series, I really liked the one that I did for Harry Styles because I felt like it was a fun, different recipe. Um, and I feel like a lot of people liked that one too, especially because Harry Styles is kind of having a moment right now.
Yeah.
But
Do you remember what was it?
yeah, it was spring rolls, but they were like very colorful. Like I put so many different veggies and shrimp I put in there, and I made like a really like good like sriracha dressing to go with it. It was a good recipe. I would make it today if I could. It sounds good right now.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing. I haven't seen one of those, but I think I have to scroll a little bit more and see one of those videos. Those sound very, very, very fun.
Yeah.
Mari, for the people that's listening right now that's very interested into getting into healthy cooking, um, counting me into one of them, um, what is something you think you could learn, like one of the first things that you can start learning that can be easy but can have a big impact in your day to day? I know that in, like, for example, in one of the latest videos that you shared, I was mentioning the salad dressing that you were preparing, and you mentioned that if you were very new to healthy cooking, that's something that you would teach yourself how to make. Um, First, wanted to ask you why a salad dressing do you think can be one of the first things that you can learn, and if you have more tips like that, like easy things that can have a big impact.
Yeah, definitely. So salad dressing, a lot of the salad dressings on the market, I'm not saying all of them because there definitely are good ones out there, but a lot of the salad dressings on the market have very inflammatory vegetable oils in them. And a lot of them have high, like, even if you look at a bottle, like a lot of them have high fructose corn syrup and they have a lot of gums and fillers. And I always just feel like it's such a shame when you're making such a good salad that's something that's so nutrient dense for you to put something like that on it. It just seems a little contradicting to me. So for me, a salad dressing at home is just so easy. And I feel like I was like raised just, my mom's are really good at making salads and we always just made homemade salad. So I didn't really realize that like a lot of people don't make homemade salad dressing. And it's like
Yeah.
one of the easiest things to do in your kitchen. So that was kind of where that tip came from because you really only need like two things and you have a good salad dressing. The base can be the same too.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense. What you just mentioned, I haven't thought about it, and yeah, I've read the ingredient list from the salad dressings, and I think that like in the past, I've thought to myself like, okay, I'm not taking too much of it. Like whenever I make a salad and I put salad dressing, I don't use a lot of salad dressing.
Yeah.
I haven't thought too much about like the ingredients in it, but yeah, it's like so contradictory. Now you put it that way, that the salad is like the healthy part of my meals most of the time, but I'm making it not so healthy with a salad dressing. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, do you have something else like that we could learn, like a couple tips that we could learn?
Definitely. So, something that I recommend to a lot of people that are like new to healthy cooking or don't even really enjoy cooking, even would be I recommend smoothies to so many people because I pretty much eat a smoothie or drink a smoothie like 5 times a week, I would say. And it's just such an easy thing as like your first meal of the day, first to break your overnight fast with because the food that you're breaking your overnight fast with like has so much it just has so much power over your digestion and your blood sugar regulation for the day. So that's a really important meal. And with a smoothie, it's so easy. You just put in anything into your freezer. So like I just freeze spinach and wild blueberries or other berries, and you can put in like a nut butter if you want. You can make it as nutrient dense as you want, and you're getting so much nutrients in such a simple way. And also, I always say there's no other way that I'm going to probably eat spinach and kale for breakfast.
Yeah.
So it's just an easy way that tastes really good to get really nutrient foods in.
And okay, so you mentioned that it's a great way to break the overnight fast that you normally do. And why is it better to have a smoothie like this instead of like I don't know, eggs and juice and toasts?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like what difference does it make in the body?
Yeah, definitely. So I think eggs can still be a great option. And like there's days that I definitely break my fast with eggs with other things with them. But your first meal of the day, like if you think about what the word breakfast means, it quite literally means break fast. So it's like the first meal that you're breaking your fast with. And it just has so much power over your digestion and your blood sugar. So you really want to have it as macro balanced as you can, meaning that you have good forms of protein, good forms of healthy fats, and pretty fiber rich. Like you want it to be pretty fiber rich so that you're able to digest things. So a smoothie for me is just like the easiest way to get protein, healthy fats. Like I'll put like half an avocado in or something, or seeds. Healthy fats is easy there. And then fiber, you can make it as fiber rich as you want with like the veggies and fruits that you're using.
I love that. I think I've never tried making a smoothie with Waku. Every bottle of Waku has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So
I
now
bet it'd be
that
good.
yeah, so now that you say that, I might try tomorrow or one of these days making a smoothie with Waku to see how it is. I've never tried, so I'm not sure how is it gonna be. But
The
but
thing
I
about smoothie, the thing about
yeah.
smoothies is they're also pretty hard to mess up. Like they pretty much taste good. Like I don't really ever come across a smoothie that I'm like, I mean, occasionally I'll be like, oh, this isn't great, but majority of times they're pretty easy to make and it's hard to mess up. So I'm sure anything that you
That's
try to create will taste good.
that's true. That's a good point. Um, Awesome. Any other tip like that? I'm loving those tips because I think I'm gonna implement them myself. But I think, well, right now I do make smoothies in the morning. I think I've got into the habit of just like having a smoothie for breakfast, and that's been amazing. It also makes me feel that I have more energy. Um, I guess it's because my body it's not spending so much energy into digesting the food, right? Like if I eat too much of a big breakfast, that like I used to be like that. I used to have like a big breakfast because, of course, you grow up with this notion. Like I learned that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so it has to be very like big and a lot of things. You have to eat a big hearty breakfast. So I used to have like a huge breakfast. I remember like when I started dating my girlfriend that I am with right now. She used to get surprised, like she was like, "Oh my god, that looks like dinner, like on the amount of food that I used to eat in my breakfast." um, but I think like that was one of the things that would make me feel with less energy, and I needed more coffee to kind of like don't feel sluggish after eating that. But I think that has helped me a lot also, in terms of like feeling full. Like I don't feel hungry after drinking my smoothie. um, and I feel that it gives me. I feel more energetic, to be honest. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
been great. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
another tip.
do you have another one like that?
Yeah, similar one would just be I don't meal prep a ton, and I know a lot of people get pretty overwhelmed with the idea of meal prepping, but I do think that there are a couple things that are just easy to like prep on a Sunday or a Monday or whenever you have time that can just make your life a little bit easier when you're trying to eat healthy throughout the week. So like one of those things that I even do a lot of recipes with that you can see if you go on my social media is like I get rotisserie chickens a lot. Like that's just something that is really easy for me to make a healthy lunch with. Like I can make chicken salad with that. I can make a wrap with it. I can put it in like a pasta dish if I wanted even. So I always have like a rotisserie chicken in my fridge. I'll make like a quinoa or maybe some form of potato in the week. Just again, so if I'm making like a salad, I can spice that up from time to time by adding some quinoa in. So I don't fully like meal prep meals, but I do think it is nice to have a few things in your fridge that are just there. So you can just gravitate towards them if you're in a rush instead of like doing Uber Eats.
Got it. I love those. Those make so much sense. I think there's a. I should write a blog post out of those recommendations. Those are very helpful. Thank you for that, Mari.
Of course.
Um, Mari, you mentioned that whenever you came out of college, right? You dived into reading a lot of books about nutrition, about self help. Um, so I was curious if, on the top of your mind, you have one or three books that you think that have greatly influenced your life. It can be like from that period, or books that you've read more recently. Um, but yeah, what are some of the books that you think have greatly influenced you?
Yeah. So if you follow me on Instagram, people will definitely know this answer because I talk about this book all the time. But the book that probably changed my life the most was the book What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. And I think for me, even when I started like my wellness journey, it was kind of coming from a bad place. So I was sick of looking like I was sick of my weight, or I was tired of feeling so anxious. Like it kind of stemmed from a negative place. And I feel like that book, it's all about how you should talk to yourself like you're yourself's best friend. But it gives very good examples and it gives very good steps to how to do that. Um, and I think that really changed my mindset overall about like everything. Like it made me really understand like and value myself a lot more. So that's a big book that I would recommend.
I love it. What to say to yourself was the book, right? I'm gonna
What to
make
say
sure
when you talk to yourself.
what to say when you talk to yourself. I'm taking some notes when
Yeah,
you
it's a great
talk
book.
to yourself. Oh, I love it. I'm definitely gonna put those in the that book in the show notes. Um,
Yeah, please do. It's
Amazing.
great.
I'm loving this conversation and I'm learning a lot. Um, Another question that I wanted to ask you. Sometimes, like this happens to me. Sometimes when I talk with amazing people like you that are nutritional therapy practitioners, and that it seems that you have a very good lifestyle, and like you eat very healthy, but um, sometimes for me it can feel like a bit overwhelming to start to get into like um, healthy eating, and I know that this can be true for a lot of people that can be listening. um, so I wanted to ask you first, um, if you like you are always like that, like you're always on, or like if like it took you some time to build up those healthy habits, and like um how do you think one can start making that shift towards a healthier eating?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the first thing is like with anything, right? It's kind of about the discipline. So I'm not going to say that it's super easy. Like I think a lot of people, especially like in my DMs or like something, will write me just like wanting a magic supplement or wanting a magic thing that's going to like get them to their health. Um, but for me, it is a lot of discipline. But I am also in my 20s. Like, I like to enjoy life, and I believe that life is meant to be enjoyed. And I want to be able to connect with other people. And sometimes that is going to a restaurant with my friends or going out for a couple of drinks with my friends. So I definitely believe in a very balanced lifestyle. And I think you can live a healthy lifestyle with it being balanced. So I am like, I would say day to day, I live very routinely with my healthy habits, but I mean, I do live very, very balanced. Something that I would recommend to someone just starting out would be to really try to be a little bit more intuitive with your body. So for me, like a good exercise that I have a lot of clients do is just like put your phone away, put your laptop away, and go like sit in a room and just try to clear your head for a couple of minutes, no music, and ask yourself, like, what are 5 foods that make me feel really good? What are 5 foods that make me feel really energized, focused, motivated, and just feel, yeah, like my best self? And then you, on the opposite, do the opposite. So you say, what are 5 foods that maybe are making me feel sluggish or like spiking my anxiety, or making me bloated? And I feel like our bodies are so much more in tune with us than a lot of people realize. So by asking that right away, like foods are going to come to your head. Like you're going to realize, like for me, it
Yeah,
was coffee was a big one. Like I was like, coffee's making me very anxious. So like I wrote that down. Or like different food groups even. And I think that's a good place to start because I think at the end of the day, like day to day life, just becoming more intuitive with how foods in your environment are making you feel can be super beneficial.
I love that. Yeah, now that you mentioned this, like a couple of things came to my mind. Like I know that when I eat too much chips, I feel weird. I feel off, and like
Yeah,
binging on chips can be so easy that you end up feeling sick. Like, oh my god, why did I eat that full bag of Doritos? And you feel just like so bad after doing something like that.
definitely.
I love that approach. I think it's very I think it feels easier to dive into healthier eating if you start to tune up more into your body and what your body wants and needs. Um, because I think like if you start doing that, and let's say you can think of 5 types of food that make you feel good, then I think it's almost like feels easier to focus in those five things that make you feel good, and maybe some variations of those foods, right, to make it
Definitely.
easier to start the going
Yeah,
through that
definitely.
route. Yeah, so I really like that. Mari, one of the last questions that I wanted to ask you is, um, how has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success in your life? If one thing that you've experienced in your career, that at the moment was very hard to experience, or it seemed like an apparent failure at the moment, but that might have set you up for later success. What's something that comes to your mind?
Yeah, I totally believe that everything does happen for a reason, and like in the moment it might be hard to like identify that. But like later on it is pretty obvious. And like for me, I after college had moved to Chicago, and I had a really good job at the time, and I felt like I was doing all the things that I should be doing, like just as I graduated. But there was something in me that just wasn't happy, and I wasn't thriving in my life, and I was really anxious and having these panic attacks. And at the time, that felt like a huge failure. Like I had to leave, I left Chicago to move home, and that felt like a huge failure for me, like career wise and social wise. But at the end of the day, looking back, like that was the biggest blessing in my life, because I wouldn't have done any of this, or I wouldn't have gone back to school for nutrition. I wouldn't have like lived a more healthy lifestyle. I wouldn't be able to help other people live a more healthy lifestyle. So yeah, that was at the time a big failure that just really, really changed my life at the end of the day.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Maddie. Um, and thank you so much for being today in this conversation. I've learned a lot. And if people wants to follow you and wants to learn more from you, what are the best ways to connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. So follow me. My handle on Instagram and TikTok is Nutritiously Easy. And then I recently just started a YouTube channel, so check that out as well.
Love it. I'll definitely follow you more of your videos on YouTube. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for everything you shared today, Maddie.
Yeah, I
Hope
had a
to
great
talk to you soon.
conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. This is Nico again, and just a few more things before you take off. If you'd like to be part of the Waku tribe to be the first one to know about the launch of exclusive flavors, special promotions, and content about health and wellness, just go to livewaku.com, that's livewaku.com, and sign up for our email list. And if you sign up, I hope you enjoy being part of our community.